This is the 2014 Dodge Ram with a 6-speed transmission, manual transmission. Um, One of the things I noticed that I don't like about it, and I've changed on my Ram 2003 when I bought it, is the location of the gear shifter. This hasn't got bucket seats in it. It's just got the 40-20-40 seats. And what you find here is that if you're going to shift, that shifter should be over here. So you can get your elbow in between the armrest and you don't have to have it on top of it. What you'll find is that when you're trying to go forward, you're trying to get your hand underneath it. And the other issue you're going to have is when you're like in third gear, and I have one location where I live where we have a steep grade, 12% grade, and I go down 450 feet elevation, and I'd like to use the engine brake. Well, I got to reach around the shifter to get to the engine brake, which meanwhile, I got a shifter. Like that button should be here someplace on this shifter. So I've ordered a kit, and I'm going to change that. We'll see that later. And I'm going to remake this shifter and bring it over probably about 6 inches. So at least that way, I'm not all the way into this. It seems difficult when you're trying to shift because normally I would be putting my hand underneath it like this to bump it forward, not on the ball of my hand or trying to pull it, or you'd have to go this way. And that's all because of the way this armrest is. Somebody says, well, put the armrest up. Well, that's great, but the person beside you wants to use the armrest. So now you're fighting it back and forth. So like I said, Dodge could have put that over a little bit more. They didn't. I'm going to fix it. It's been like that. I've changed it on my 2003 Ram with a 4.7 and a manual transmission. It's been like that for 11 years. I've never had an issue with it. So I don't see an issue with moving this one over. Even when you put it into reverse, that should still be over about 5-6 inches right in this area here, not where it is now. And this is what happens. You're into here, and now you're rubbing up against this armrest here, trying to get it into the next gear. And you're always rubbing your arm on it. So I'm going to change that, and we'll see how that works out. The engine brake's going to go onto the shifter as well. So Dodge missed the mark on that, but they're the only ones that sell a standard transmission, so I don't think they're going to listen. They're one of the last people to do it, and the sole reason for me buying this truck was first thing I wanted was a manual transmission, and just looking underneath the truck, that manual transmission is a monster. So one other shortcoming was that we don't have gauges. Yeah, there's a little display in here, and you can change through the menus, but there's so many menus. Your eyes are off the road for so long. I like the eye at a glance. I know that the battery's charging and the engine temperature's at where it's supposed to be. I don't have a clue unless I keep changing through the menus. One of the people say to me, "Oh, well, why do you want to know how warm the engine is?" Well, in the wintertime, it's got to be at least 70 degrees C before you can turn the heat on, because all you're doing is blowing cold air. So there's a reason right there. Possibly I can get something aftermarket, maybe Bully Dog, or there's a few other ones that have a tuner. I don't really want to change the tuning on it. I just want to have some instrumentation. And I didn't realize that with the SLT that didn't come with it. So, of course, if you went up the next package, the next higher trim level, you couldn't get the manual transmission. I don't understand Dodge's thinking. They think that anybody that wanted leather seats may not want a manual transmission. It's kind of goofy, but anyways, that's how it is. This is the 2014 Dodge Ram 2500 with manual 6-speed transmission on the Cummins diesel, 6.7 liter. To take all this out here, the lower console, it's literally 3 little bolts. One underneath like a coin tray, the other one is underneath a cup holder. Take that off and there's one more hole in the front section. It's a lot easier than my 2003 Ram. What the shifter has though is an isolation damper. It's elastomer rubber, so I didn't expect that. But if you take a look at this right in here, I can pull this boot back, and what you'll see is this comes right out of the transmission. So you're stuck with that, and this is the adapter right here. Remove these 2 nuts. These spline bolts will punch out, and that was in a straight line. Well, what I've done is I put it in a vise at this end and just put a big hunking piece of pipe on it and bent it over. So now I've moved the shifter over 3 inches, and I think that's going to work nicely for what I want. I was going to build one out of stainless steel, but it doesn't look like I need to do that now. So this part looks like it's going to work very nice. Okay, what we got here is a control that goes on to your gear shift. I got this on eBay, and your shifter knob will be in the center here. This is the button to turn on your exhaust brake. And as I said before, Dodge kind of missed the mark. We got a standard truck with an exhaust brake. All we need to do is have it on the shifter so we can flip it on and off instead of reaching around the shifter to get at it at the dash and take our eyes off the road. Doesn't make sense. Anyways, this here, unfortunately, this part came just about what it was. It came with a switch, but it was a toggle switch rather than a push button switch. So I've gotten this other push button switch on eBay, but of course it doesn't fit. So I had to make an adapter, which is going to get pressed into there, and then the button gets pressed into there. It's all press fit. And with that out of the way, this is what goes on the shifter. So if you look inside here, you'll see that there's a couple of keys or keyways, and I took a piece of acetal rod and machined it the same way, and this is a relief here for the wire to come down through the button, and that's a grub screw which is going to grub into the shifter rod, and it's the same bore, so it should be fine. A couple of screw holes on each side which line up with these screw holes here. So once I figure out where this has got to go orientation wise, I'm going to take it out, put a dimple in the gear shift, and you can see how that set screw is proud there in the bore. And what that's going to do is it'll lock it into the gear shift knob, and it shouldn't move at all. This is a shot of the inside of the vehicle. The exhaust brake, I think Dodge missed the mark on this, but I relocated it to the shifter. It's on this button here. And if you take a look here, when I press it, you can see right here is the exhaust brake light, and you can see it come on, and again it goes off. It runs in parallel with the stock equipment, so you can still use the dash button, but if you've got your hand on the shifter, why the heck do you want to lift it off if you want to turn the brake on and off? I know it's got an auto mode, but heck, I'm shifting gears manually. Let that be my option, and also make sure it's not behind the shifter.